purpose of this exercise is to train your eye to not only just focus on the positive space of the thing that you're drawing, but also the negative space around it. This is a popular logo that utilizes a really important negative space. Can you see the hidden arrow in this logo? There it is, right there between the E and the X. Okay, you have 4 photos to choose from for this exercise. For all 4, you will be drawing the white space through the object. The building blocks might be one of the easier ones if this seems like a daunting task for you because it only uses geometric shapes, and they get a little bit more challenging from the chair to the horse to the monstera leaves. Those are actually quite challenging, especially because there's so many little tiny spaces. I'm going to show you a time lapse of just a couple of these photos that I worked through. This one obviously is the horse that I'm starting with. And it doesn't seem too difficult because there's not a whole lot of negative space. However, it's quite challenging in the fact that because of the way that we're normally trained to draw, I want to go in there and I want to draw the eyeball. I want to draw the bridle as it goes all the way around his muzzle. But that's not the exercise. The exercise is just to focus on the white space. This Monstera plant presents a whole new level of negative space to draw. It's quite challenging. However, it is definitely worth the challenge. I know that as I completed this, I missed a few areas and there are some negative spaces that don't fall into the exact same place where they should be according to the photo. But like I said, this is brain exercise and I definitely was feeling it by the end of this drawing. All right, now we're going to start playing around with some one-point perspective. That is basically how we can make flat shapes not appear flat. This is different than 2-point perspective, which is a little bit more advanced, and you would use that in different circumstances. This is a detailed example of what you can do with 1-point perspective. This is from one of my favorite drawing books called How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. In this first section, we're going to take some really basic shapes and just make them look like they're popping off the page a little bit. It's a pretty simple process. We're going to connect the outermost vertices or the corners to this one vanishing point that's right in the center of the page. So on this first easy square, I'm just starting with the corners that are closest to the vanishing point. Now this third corner, I actually wouldn't want to draw any sort of a line because that line is going through the square or what is going to be the cube. But I just want to show you what's happening in space. If it was a see-through square, maybe you would draw it, but these are just going to be opaque Now that shapes. I've drawn the sides of this square to the vanishing point, I need to figure out where the back edge stops. And I can make this however deep of a cube or prism that I want. But these edges that I'm drawing here have to be parallel to the original square that was drawn. And then I can erase the rest. There's my cube. So what do we do about shapes that don't have corners, like this circle here? Well, we want to work on what's called tangents. So I'm going to connect my ruler, just like I've done here, to the outermost edge of my circle to the vanishing point. And that will be the edge of this prism shape. Same thing that I did with the cube. I need to draw a line that is parallel to the initial line that was drawn before. So this curved edge needs to match the curved edge that is on my circle. I can go ahead and erase. And then I'm just going to clean this up. I'm going to apply both of these techniques, the same technique I use for the square and the circle, when I draw this cloud shape so that it looks like it's sort of sticking off the page. So first I want to start with these little tangents on the edge of the bubbly parts. But then I have this little corner in between the two curves that I can do just like I did with the cube. There's another tangent. And all of the other parts of the cloud are going to pass through the backside, so I don't need to draw any more connecting dots. But just like I did with the circle, I need to make sure that this line, however far deep I'm going to make this shape, the back edge needs to be parallel to the front edge. And then I'm going to actually measure how far back I made my initial line. So that way, as I have to cut up here to the side little bubbles, it's the same depth. I'll have to do the same thing over here. And I erase the rest of the lines. These more complex letter shapes follow the exact same rules as the simple shapes that we did above. However, these do have some negative shapes inside, like the A and the R. So you just have to be careful depending on how deep you make the letters. For instance, the depth of the A, I couldn't see like the back line of where it stopped in that negative space. But because the R I made a little bit more shallow, you can see the inside curve of where that stopped. So you might be wondering, where does that edge stop inside the R? That actually will be just as far down away from the original line that was drawn as you stopped the bottom edge of the other lines. So for instance, if this point is half an inch away from the bottom of the R, this point will be half an inch away from the inside edge of that negative space of the R. This next little shape that we have for you to practice is sort of like creating a three-dimensional ribbon. So we've only given you one line, which is rather flat. That would be like the very edge of the ribbon. So to show where the back edge of the ribbon stops, we're going to connect lines to the vanishing point from both the ends of the ribbon and also the tangents on that little loop-de-loop. And now I'm going to determine how wide I want my ribbon to be. About half an inch. And then I'm going to copy the line that's already drawn so that way it's parallel, just like we've been doing so far. But I'm going to stop when I get to the loop. And then when I get to the loop, again, I need to make a parallel edge. And then I need to be sure to show the inside of this curl so it looks like a continuation of the outside back edge. Now I just erase the rest of the lines, clean it up. Lastly, we have some fun stair shapes for you to practice on. The rules do not change for the stairs. Just connect all of the little vertices to that vanishing point. And don't forget about the negative space inside too, where there's like that little tunnel. And once you have all those lines connected, it is up to you how deep you want those stairs to look. For our last exercise, we're going to put two pieces of furniture and one window or picture on the side wall of this interior space. So here's an example where I put a couch and a dresser, and I even went a little bit above and beyond, put a couple extra things in there as well. But we're just going to focus on doing some of the bare minimum first. First thing I need to do is find my vanishing point. If you connect the lines that are already existing, you'll find that point in the center. I'm going to start by drawing a bed that's coming towards us from the back wall. So the first thing I'm going to draw is a rectangle that will basically be the foot of the bed. The lines from the bottom two vertices will show me the bottom edge of the bed, and it will stop when it gets to the wall. So there should be a smaller rectangle that I end up drawing on the wall. Now I'm going to erase all of the lines that I can't see through the bed. And because it's a bed, I'm going to round out the corners a little bit too, make it look a little bit softer. Maybe put a couple little details on here, like a couple pillows. And since I can still see that wall line, I'm going to go ahead and shade in the top of the bed. That will help to camouflage that line. I'm going to go ahead and give the bed some legs instead of the solid bottom. So I also need to take into account the perspective of those legs. Next, on this wall, I'm going to draw a tall chest of drawers. So I'm going to start by drawing the rectangle in perspective where that chest of drawers sits against the wall. So that's the back of the chest of drawers. And so now this rectangle will show me the side that is facing us. And then I will draw the rest of the lines back to the vanishing point. Now I'm drawing through the chest of drawers to basically show where it stops on the floor. So it looks see-through at this point. And so I'm going to go ahead and focus on the face of the drawers, and I want to draw each individual drawer line back. Oops. I realized that I was not rotating my ruler correctly. So we'll fix that up. Alright, now I'm going to draw the lines that indicate where those drawers stop along the back. So I have 3 drawers. And I can go in and put little details like little knobs. So I have my 2 pieces of furniture. Now I need to add something to the wall. I'll draw a window over here. So I'm going to draw the edge that's closest to me first. And then the back edge needs to be parallel to that, straight up and down. And it's the top and the bottom lines that have to go back into perspective. If I want to break up the window, kind of like I did here, that middle line also has to go back in perspective too. And I decide I'm going to go ahead and have some curtains hanging down from a curtain rod here. And the curtains are going to just hang straight down. I don't need to worry about them pulling back in any sort of a weird fashion. And I feel like I need to decorate now, because that's what I do. Gotta decorate the space. Everything else from here on out is just icing on the cake.